Shannie from Mountain Woman Products Stained Glass Studio, and I'm super excited that you're here with me today because we're going to be talking about the essential tools you really need to get started in stained glass. Stained glass is like kitchen gadgetry. There's a zillion and a half of them out there, and you just simply don't need that many tools, especially not when you're first starting out. You're going to need scoring tools, you're going to need foiling tools, braking tools, grinding, and soldering. So, scoring tools. There's a couple of different types I have here. This one is a pistol grip shaped like a pew-pew. This is something often recommended for beginners because it's easy to hold on to. The one thing that I don't really like about this is because of its shape and the way that you're holding it here, good part, wrist is straight, great ergonomics. Bad part, your hand does not touch your work surface, so it's a little harder to control. To combat that, if you decide that this is the kind that you like, you can use your finger from your non-dominant hand and help guide it along. This is a pencil grip. It's a Fletcher brand. It's the first cutter I ever got, and I really do like it because shaped like a pencil, it's really easy to hold, and your hand flat on your work surface. Great control. This one is from the Creators brand. It is the Hummingbird, and it's kind of like if these two had a love child. It's got this diagonal head like your pistol grip does, but it's small enough that it fits in your hand, and that means that your hand here can touch your work surface, so great control. I do have an affiliate with Creators, so full disclosure on that. However, I will never recommend anything that I do not truly love because integrity. You're going to need some tools for braking, and let's do a score real quick. This is your running braking pliers, and you simply line up that line there with your score, and ta-da. However, if you do a very thin line like this, or if you have like a little piece that your braking pliers can't get into that area, that is where your grossing braking pliers comes into play. Think little piece, yeet. We also have your fids. You're going to need these, or one of these at least, for when you're doing foiling. And the idea is that this is what you use to burnish or smush down flat your copper foil onto your glass piece. This is a traditional and super cheap kind. I like it because it has a tapered edge, so when you get into corners or if you happen to mess up and have to do some fixes, it gets in those areas really easily because of the tapered edge. This is a rolly kind, and it's simple to use because it rolls. Grinders. You're going to need a grinder. I've heard some people say you can use a carborundum stone, and I've tried them. They're perfectly fine for if you have a flat edge and you just kind of need to take off a little bit of an edge, especially for storage or something like that. They're okay for that, but they are not good enough to really do the grinding that you need if you're going to do the copper foil method for stained glass, because that you have to be a little bit more exacting than when you're doing lead cane. So you do need a glass grinder. This one's particularly large for the amount of work that I do. This is the Griffin convertible grinder. When you're starting out, the Griffin Griffette, it's great. It's small, it's compact, and it's pretty cheap comparatively, but it's still a really good quality. So I always recommend that one for brand newbies. If you find something at a yard sale or anywhere else used or anything like that, and you find an Inland or a Griffin or a Glass Star or any of those, they're just fine. And last but not least, you need a soldering iron. When I first started out in stained glass, I went to the stained glass supply shop. He told me everything that I needed, and he said, get this iron. We have other irons here, they're cheaper, but really don't get them because you're going to be disappointed in them. Well, I got the cheaper one because I was broke, and 2 days later I regretted it. And I went back and I got this one. This is the Hakko 601-02 if you're in America, because that's for American outlets. If you are in Japan or use the same outlets that Japan does, then you're the 601-01. It's got a ceramic core, and that makes for even, consistent heating, which you're gonna want when you're trying to do your soldering and lay your beads down and do your edge beading. It's got temperature control right on it, which is super convenient, and it's small compared to other irons that are like freaking baseball bat. This one's a really nice size. No matter what iron you have, if you have one laying around the house you just kind of want to play with to start out, that's fine, but you're gonna need a rheostat, which is an external temperature control, because you do need to adjust the temperature on your iron depending on what you're working with, your speed, and a whole lot of other factors. So you absolutely need temp control. This is the way to go. When you can see your way to buying this iron, get this one for sure, the Hakko 601. You're also going to need some supplies that you probably have hanging around the house. Things like jars, scissors, markers, craft knives, things of that nature. Sponges, waka waka waka. If you'd like a list that includes all of these essential tools here, all the kind of different supplies that you need to probably have laying around, as well as patterns and the steps in stained glass, go to the description below and click on the link for the free beginner's guide to stained glass. I made it just for you and it's really going to help you out. Till I see you next time, peace, love, and stained glass. Subscribe for more.